We go. Salute to NBA Nation on this Wednesday afternoon, a post-Christmas edition of the NBA Report. CB the franchise, Alex Charles, Andrew South, the 1-2 combo in his regular weekly spot. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel because this is the #1 NBA show for the fans, by the fans. And on today's episode, that Pistons free fall continues, 27 straight losses. We're going to get into that. Plus, is KD unhappy now in Phoenix? We're going to unpack that. Lots of drama going on down there down in Phoenix in Arizona. And Grizzlies are staying hot, man. Ja Morant and the Grizz go 4-0 since his return. So we got a lot to talk about. Lock in once again. Call us up 657-383-1509, or you could hit us up on the KF or on the NBA Report Discord. Let's get into it, man. All right, fellas. Happy holidays, man. How we feeling, bro? How we feeling? Everybody have a good Christmas?
Yeah, man. Had a good Christmas. Happy holidays right back to all you guys as well. Got to eat, got to drink, got to party it up. You know how it is. And we got to, depending how you feel about all the NBA games outside of that magnificent Knicks-Bucks game, it was a pretty decent slate, It was a little weird having football, though. It was a little weird having football. How are you guys feeling?
The football mixed in was a little weird, but like with the Knicks winning, I could stomach a Giants close loss. So I actually watched some of that, because the Laker game had gotten out of hand at some point. So then I switched over to Giants and Eagles. And, the Giants gave it their best shot. And it came down to the end, Tyrod back in the mix. But I could stomach it because the Knicks and Brunson took care of business, beat the Bucks early in the first matchup of the NBA slate. So pretty good so far, man. Andrew, how was your holiday, man?
It was great, and that was a fantastic game. Jalen Brunson, guy's different, man. That guy's different. The footwork, the ability, just everything he does, man. I know there's been a lot of talk about if he's a 1A guy or not, but I think he's listening to that, and I think he wants to prove everybody that he could be just that.
He wants to prove everybody wrong, man. And I think it would start with the all-star bid. I hope Knicks fans really go out there and vote for him because he deserves it, man. He puts a lot of work in. It takes a lot of effort for him to kill the way he does it. It makes it look effortless. But as you say, you watch him with the footwork and the physicality and the way that he's working and creates separation every time. It's a lot of work, man.
And the efficiency from three is going up, right? Like he's just been incredible this season.
He's on a monster pace, man. And, our guy, Fred Katz of The Athletic, was talking about, he's not just on an all-star pace. He's on an all-NBA pace right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, even last season, there was MVP buzz. Like, people were talking about it, like MVP buzz, because of the impact. Maybe not the numbers were quite there with some of the top guys in the league, but the impact was immense, even last season.
He's making the case right now, and like if no one's paying attention to what he's doing for the New York Knicks, then you're just evading what the reality is. This guy is different. Look, they got a good matchup tonight against the OKC Thunder. It's gonna be him and SGA just duking it out. I'm looking forward to that matchup tonight. Did a preview for Knicks Fan TV. So for all you tuning in right now who haven't watched that, make sure to go over there, check out the preview to get ready for tonight's game between the Knicks and the Thunder. But I'm looking forward to that matchup between those two spectacular guards.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's a shame that Mitchell Robinson went down because we don't get the Mitch versus Chet matchup, but the Chet versus iHeart matchup is going to be very interesting. The Brunson, as your guest said, it might most likely will be Dort trying to take Brunson off of his game. And that's the thing, like, Brunson usually can out physical even the taller, rangier defenders. But Lou Dort can play football out there now. So
yeah, he does.
That's gonna be a matchup to watch. I'm wondering how Brunson maneuvers against that defense. And hey, even if he draws Shea on a matchup, Shea has a lot of wingspan. He'll give it a fight defensively as well. And then on the other end, the Chet matchup, Knicks have already had issues with Porzingis. They have issues with those stretch fives, and now you have Chet, who can not only space the floor out on you, but can attack off the dribble. Isaiah Hartenstein's going to have his hands full, Julius Randle as well. So that's going to be the game of the night for me.
With the offensive-driven NBA, don't you like iHeart in there, though, getting some more minutes? He's not the defensive player as Mitch. He's not the rebounder Mitch is, but the way he connects the team is quite efficient.
Absolutely, but his discipline is roller coaster. You know what I'm saying? And against Chet, who is playing like a savvy NBA vet. Yes. I think that might be tough, especially when he's attacking off the dribble, because Hartenstein, he likes to play aggressive. He likes to play with a lot of energy. And so it's going to be left to be seen. OKC's going to be in the second night of a back-to-back. I want to see how, if they go there, because right behind Hartenstein is Taj Gibson. And so if they break through that, then the advantage is on their side. So I'm going to be interested to see how that chess match plays out.
Tibbs definitely has Taj on speed dial.
Yeah. Unfortunately, but fortunately, you know what I mean? Shout out to Todd. That's our guy, man. Brooklyn boy. But damn, it's like this was supposed to be break glass in emergency. And they broke the glass on his second day on the job. But you know what I'm saying? My man didn't even finish getting his number printed. And he's like, yo, we need you 20 minutes tonight, man.
Most definitely.
Unbelievable, man. But let's get into last night's action because the Detroit Pistons continue to make history. The second of one of those back-to-backs where they played the same team. They played the Brooklyn Nets last night at home in Detroit and got off to a pretty fast start. But things would kind of fall apart for that Piston team in the second quarter. Nets came back, and then, the Nets themselves had an 11-point lead in the third, but give credit to Cade Cunningham, man. A monster second half, scored 18 of Detroit's 31 points in the third period. Cade Cunningham on his way to 41 points. But it was all for naught, man. It was all for naught as the Nets pull away at the end, and Detroit now suffers loss number 27 in a row. They break the tie with the 2010-2011 Cavs and the 2013-2014 76ers, and now set their sights on the 15-16 Sixers, who had 28 straight losses between two seasons. So they are the single season record holder, but now they're going for the big one. Now they're going for overall bum nights. I don't know, Al, what's going on in Detroit, man?
Simple and plain. This team sucks. Like, there's nothing else to really say about it. I mean, look, you got talent on that team. You got Jalen Durant, you got Cade Cunningham, you got Jaden Ivey, and yet you still can't knock out wins. You got Thompson. It's just crazy, dude. And like, when you look at all the moves that they made this offseason, it's like, oh, there should be a young, fun team coming in here. You see Cade Cunningham coming back off injury last season. Maybe there was that optimism. And then you get Monty, even though it was a crazy bag that you give a head coach, or like you see the work Monty did with the Phoenix Suns. But it's just been a mess, man. I mean, the fact that you have like an outstanding performance from Cade Cunningham last night, he drops 41 points, gives you a great efficient basketball game. You still lose. Like, you lose 118-112, and that's like, it's a close matchup. And it's not like the Brooklyn Nets have a lot of like outside of Mikal Bridges, like there's no major superstar on that team. Like, they're in that range, in my opinion. Like, that's where they should be competing with the Nets. But yet when you watch this team, it's like, you have Killian Hayes starting off the season over Jaden Ivey, which didn't make any sense to me. You drafted him fourth, and yet you're choosing Killian Hayes, who, poor shooter, not moving up to his billing of what he came out in the draft. And I'm like, what are we doing here? So, between all of that, it's just, I don't know, like, what the Pistons are doing. You got to figure it out on how you get this team organized, because as of right now, there's just nothing going on.
I feel bad for Cade, man. I feel bad for Cade. He's trying to say all the right things. This is on me as the leader, but man, oh man. I mean, that's a huge burden to bear when you want to be the franchise player and you're taking on 27 straight losses on top of having an outstanding year. I mean, mired in this 27 game streak, Andrew, is Cade Cunningham is having, close to a most improved type of season, a healthy season where he's coming out guns blazing, scoring the ball very well. But man, not even enough to get these guys a W. I'm hurting for that guy, man.
CP, you should feel sorry for him. It was the same situation, Oklahoma State, man. Like, he didn't have spacing around him. He didn't have the right teammates around him. And we fast forwarded. It's the same situation right now. He was the number one pick for a reason. Great player. We look back this summer, right? And I know you don't want to put too much stock into scrimmages, but it was a team scrimmaging versus a Team USA team with Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson and Tyrese Halliburton. And Cade Cunningham looked like the best player on the court. I know it's a scrimmages, but this guy is a future NBA All-Star. I think he could be a future NBA superstar, but it's almost like the Luka thing. You need spacing, you need shooting around him, you need lob threats, you need defense, and then we will see how great Cade Cunningham could really be. But even in this situation, he could show out, right? Without proper spacing and without the right teammates. So I do feel bad for him, but hopefully one day he'll get the right team around him so he could show what he could really do. It's a sad situation. There's no other way to put it.
And the thing is, like, you have like Jalen Durant, right? Like on that team who started off the season really hot, and you're like, oh
Yeah.
wow, they really found something over here. Maybe you get that Cade Durant 1-2 combo punch, and it's just there's nothing there, man. It is on most nights there's really nothing there, and for a fan base, right? And the Pistons have like a really good fan base,
15th in attendance.
you know, and like, yeah, you talk about that attendance. It's like this is the product you're putting out there, man. Like, if you're the front office, what are you thinking? Like, CP, I'm going to throw it to you. What are you thinking right now that's going to shake things up if you're Detroit right now and you have this issue?
Yeah, I'm thinking first, shake my GM up and get him up out of there, Jazzy Jeff style. Open the front door if you Tom Gores and send Troy Weaver packing. All right, you send him down to Flint because I mean this rests on his hands. You go out there, you give Monty Williams an incredible bag after he turned it down. You remember we talked about this with our guy Justin Termini. Monty Williams did not want the job in the beginning, so now you practically beg him. And he's here, and it's not to say that he's doing a bad job. Obviously, yes, everybody's on the hook for this. Everybody, from players, from front office on down, right? Coach included. But what I'm saying is, it's hard to say whether or not his heart is in it because we're not in that locker room. We're not on the bench. But that's a bad sign, bro. When you turn it down in the beginning, it meant that you didn't want it to begin with.
Phil Jackson style for the
Phil
Knicks, right?
Phil Jackson style, right? Like it was just not a good look, but you know, a couple extra M's will make you change fast. But they've got to start with Troy Weaver. He's got to fall on his sword by the end of the season. But between now and then, they've got to make a move. I mean, the veterans that they brought in trying to kind of fortify their young players and help them win hasn't converted into anything. And none of the vets that they brought in have been winners previously. Not Bogdanovich, not my guy Alec Burks, not Joe Harris. You know what I'm saying? Like none of the veteran players have like been to places where they can like really show these young guys like this is where we need to be. A lot of those guys are kind of just like fill-in role players, good vets, but those guys are more so along for the ride. You need winners in here. You need guys that can help bring these young guys along. And so far, the veteran players that they brought in have done nothing. So the next thing on the list is to get those guys out of here. You trade Burks, you trade Bogdanovich. Yes, you get more draft capital. Yes, the next year's draft is not supposed to be great, but you collect some for the future. You go the Sam Presti route. Maybe you absorb some contracts along the way and you try to flip those things down the road. But right now, if your vets aren't helping you, start from there and send them packing.
Do you guys think they need to look at teams for trades like maybe the Warriors or the Lakers that could give up some of their youth and maybe take a Bogdanovich? Because he could probably help a legit contender right now.
Yeah. No question. And speaking of that, let's go to we have a clip from Shams from their FanDuel TV show earlier today. Here was Shams in terms of what the Detroit Pistons could potentially be looking for on the trade market. Let's listen to Shams and react to it.
Moves, they're going to evaluate everything from the front office to the roster. I think at this point, everyone but Cade Cunningham, Jalen Duren have to be up for grabs. When you think about guys like Bojan Bogdanovic, Monte Morris, they have value around the league. What could the Pistons get for them in a trade? The Pistons do want a four-man in free agency. They're going to be active. They have 50 to 60 million in cap space next summer. I'm told some names to keep an eye on: Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Tobias Harris, as well as Miles Bridges. And so this is 27 games and counting. They can try to go make a trade right now, but at this point, nothing is changing their season in the trajectory that they're on.
Four-man, they need a three-man, a two-man, a five-man. They need
all the men.
The fact that they have a priority in free agency is shocking because they need everything, bro. This is ridiculous.
All right, so that was Shams of The Athletic and FanDuel TV on their Run It Back daily NBA show. So he says some names to keep an eye on: Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Tobias Harris, and Miles Bridges. Al, what do you think, man?
I don't see how any of this is going to make a big difference for what the Pistons got to do. There's more work than just like trading for like these are good, like Pascal Siakam, all-star level. OG Anunoby, we know what he is, a solid role player. Tobias Harris, solid role player. Miles Bridges, I get it, but none of those names really push the Pistons in the right direction to what they need, man. I honestly, what I'm looking to do, like I know these names, and I want to get your guys' thoughts. I'm looking to trade some of the guys I have. Maybe you trade a Cade Cunningham. Maybe you trade a Jalen Durant, because bringing one of these guys in doesn't seem to be would probably push the team in the right direction. Andrew, I'm going to start with you. What do you think about trading one of those guys on the roster already?
Yeah, I wouldn't trade Cade. I think he's a generational talent, to be quite honest. I mean, he's just been phenomenal his whole life. Like, just a top level player, was a #1 pick for a reason. The Jaden Ivey thing I could see, because I think he does have some trade value, and I'm sure that teams around the league feel like he's not utilized right. You know, he was getting those Ja Morant comparisons in college, which I never understood that, because he never had quite the vision or athleticism that Ja Morant does. But he's a very talented guy with two-way potential, super elite athletically. And I think he would have a lot of trade value for some younger teams, and maybe bring in somebody, because he's not being used right. There's obviously something going on with him and Monty, because as you said, like, Killian is getting more playing time than him. Like, he should be the guy getting more playing time. So if you're not going to use him right, you might as well trade him to a team that could use him and bring something back. They got to definitely shake things up. And to your point, I don't think any of these names make a huge difference. Pascal could almost help any team. Really great basketball player. As you mentioned, Al, all-star. Miles Bridges, I mean, you're trying to change culture. I don't know if Miles Bridges is the guy to bring in right now. I don't know. Fact. Yeah, I don't
know. For me, Cade, Durant, and I would include Ausar Thompson in that core.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's the core you want to keep. But you have to figure out, like, in the case of Thompson and even Durant, it's like, you know, how are they doing from a player development standpoint? Is this too much for them at this moment? Like, do we need better veterans that can come in and kind of, you know, allow these guys to grow into their roles on this team, right? Like, a lot of people want to blame Tom Thibodeau. We go back to the Knicks thing. A lot of people want to blame Tibbs for his lack of player development, but also, when you look at how a guy like Emmanuel quickly came up, yes, he got 20 minutes per game as a rookie, but it was selective, right? Like, Tibbs would put him in spots where he felt like he could succeed. And ultimately, here you go, three years later, he's almost sixth man of the year. He grew into that player. He grew into that role. He grew into their most reliable role player in the fourth quarter, and the guy that logged the most fourth quarter minutes for that team. Like, he grew and developed and evolved over that time. I think they need to evaluate, you know, is this too much right now for even Ivy or Thompson or Durant? But I would look at Cade, Durant as Thompson as that core. I would look to move Ivy if you could get something for him. And then, you know, those guys at Sham's name, like, none of those guys are necessarily going to move the needle, but you need a shakeup. That's what they need. Mm-hmm. They need a little bit of a shakeup here, man, and you know, get some of those guys out of there. Those names that they listed, those are tough players, two-way players. Look, the Miles Bridges thing, yes, he's trying to get culture, and that's probably a bad name to start with. He just couldn't even go play the Raptors the other day. You know, got his passport denied. But that's a hometown kid. It's a hometown product. Athleticism off the chart. Maybe a fresh start, fresh scenery. Send them home. Maybe that helps both sides, right? Like, listen. You know, everybody wanted to cancel Charles Spreewell aside after he choked out PJ Carlissimo. Hey, came to New York and captured the heart of the city. That was a hard thing to do after we lost John Starks. He did that in 1 year. I'm just saying, you never know. I'm not here to prop up Miles Bridges and everything that he did and all of that, but as long as he's in the league right now, he's still an active member of the NBA. You never know. That could be a spark. You bring the hometown kid home, him and Cade running and gunning out there. Who knows?
Maybe.
Go ahead, Al.
Nah, maybe that's. I don't necessarily think he needs a change of scenery. I just don't see what, like, Miles Bridges to me he's an ancillary piece. You got to figure out what the core pieces are before you add. Like, you can add a Miles Bridges, but I don't see him taking this team to the next level, saying, all right, we got Miles Bridges. Now we're going to start winning some games and we'll be okay. We'll be in the mix for everything. It's got to start within, man. It's got to start with Cade. It's got to start with Thompson. It's got to start with Durant. If that's your core right there, you said it. You got to figure out how you're going to get these guys involved and acclimated. if I'm Detroit though, like I think I forget if it was either UCP or if you, Andrew, said you got to trade Ivy. I think it was you, Andrew, but like I'm looking to trade Ivy and just looking to get in that vet that you're talking about, CP. Like you need somebody who's going to hold these guys accountable. I mean, you see what Eric Gordon was saying about the Houston Rockets last season, right? Like you saw that there was no accountability there. It was not serious. He wanted to get out of that situation immediately. But then you go to other situations, and you can even talk about the Knicks, right? When you have someone like a Burks, you have someone like a Taj who's a good role model and knows how to get these guys in the right mindset to compete on a night-to-night basis. I agree with that, but you also need a guy who's also talented that's willing to take that challenge on. Like you had somebody like that in Jeremy Grant, but then didn't work out there.
So I think the NBA is so much about meshing skill sets and tendencies even more than sliding positions at this point, right? And CP, I really love those three. Like I want to see those three stay in Detroit, but with those three, I think you need shooting, spacing, and defense, right?
Yeah.
So like we have to look at that archetype of player. Tobias is kind of that guy out of these three.
Yeah.
But he doesn't even want to be that guy. Like
Right,
he wants
right,
to be the guy with the basketball.
Right.
So yeah, you need to find a guy who really wants to fit those type of roles at a high level. So that's what I would say. These guys don't really fit so well outside of Tobias with Cade, but Pascal is an all NBA guy at one point. So you take him if you could get him, right? He's just going to make you better right off the bat. But none of these guys are really a great fit, or as you guys said, move the needle.
You're right. Especially they need the shooting, especially. I mean, they're one of the worst shooting teams in the league. No question about it. I just feel like, when I look at this roster, I look at the depth chart, like they don't have dogs like that, man. Like a lot of these players they have are soft. Killian Hayes, Ivy, like, Stewart is cool. He's a tough guy, New York guy. We know that, but like he doesn't have the talent to kind of back that up. He's good as their like emotional leader. And that's why I'm not even sure if they trade him. Like you could use him because he brings you that toughness, that physicality, but like Burks, Wiseman, Marvin Bagley, like Bogdanovich, even a coach, they're just soft all across the board. They don't have hustlers. They don't have go-getters. And that's why I say like a guy like a Miles Bridges, like you need some more toughness, some more edge in there. And that's why I say, even though he may not fit skill set wise to a T, maybe that's a little spark. You get some athleticism in there, hometown kid. You get him in there, don't throw it off the backboard. You know what I mean? Bash on somebody. So you need a little bit of a spark, man, because behind Cade, I just don't see it.
Yeah, they're lacking grit for sure. It does seem like they're kind of just like rolling the balls out. Let's like get some cardio in. Like, let's like just get some open run. Like how I go to Equinox, like, just get some shots up. Like, you're right. The grit isn't there. I totally agree. And maybe you're right on that point. Maybe they need a guy like that to just really just like force himself and will himself into the game. That and shooting is definitely lacking for this team.
Big time, man. And as we look at their schedule, I mean, when does this thing end? Because
Celtics, right?
It's at Celtics tomorrow on Thursday. So I don't see that. Maybe it's
so it looks like they are breaking the record.
Yeah. Maybe it's Saturday versus Toronto. Could it be New Year's Day in H-Town? I don't know. I don't see it. Or
when you're talking about CP, the grit and the mentality is right there at H-Town. Okay, between the head coach Dylan Brooks, that ain't gonna happen.
Dylan Brooks, what Andrew? What do you think?
Nah, the Dylan Brooks thing was always crazy to me. How like the whole internet was telling him he's about to go play in China. Like I always thought that was ridiculous. That guy was always like a really good basketball player with tremendous
and Oregon
grit.
too.
Yeah.
Everywhere, bro. Like,
he always had grit.
The Dylan Brooks takes were some of the worst takes of the internet. Worst takes.
Yeah. So maybe it's Saturday home against Toronto. Maybe that's where they find it. But at Utah,
they bring Pascal back home with them from Toronto.
Bring Pascal back home because after that they're at Utah, they're at Houston, at Utah, at Golden State, and at Denver before coming home to play the Kings. Or maybe it's the Spurs, January 10th. You got Spurs on the 10th, Wizards on the 15th. What'd you say?
Maybe it's Utah.
Maybe it's Utah. Maybe it's Utah where they break the curse there.
Although they did lose to the Kelly Olynyk Jazz not too long ago.
They did. So they should be out for revenge there, man. But man, 27 straight losses, bro.
That's tough to do, right? It feels like it's tough to do.
Yeah. That I mean,
it feels
because
like
they didn't even build that team with the intention of doing this. You know?
100%. They want to win some games this year. This wasn't a tank. This wasn't supposed to be a tank year.
This was not supposed to be a tank job, man. But here we are. So,
oh man.
So salute to everybody in the chat. Once again, hit that thumbs up button for you boys. I had one more thing on this Detroit team that I completely forgot, man.
Sam Hinkie's probably smiling like somewhere like that's the way you tank.
Right.
That's the way you do it.
Man.
Andrew's in disgust.
Yo, did you hear the governor go like he looked like he was on a Zoom call? He needs to get his camera up if you're the governor of the team. But anyway, he went on, he's like, don't panic. We're way past panic, bro. We're way past that, bro.
Yeah, we're disgusted.
You got fans saying sell the team. So now it's about to start hitting you in the pockets. Yeah. You know, they've been, God bless those fans, because they've been loyal. They've been patient. As we said, 15th in attendance. But now it's going to start hitting your pockets. And when you look at the teams, when we just talk about the schedule, that's the thing I wanted to talk about. Jacques Vaughn, the head coach of the Nets, when he met with the media after last night's game, he said, I didn't sleep that much because I knew how hard this game was going to be, especially trying to beat a team 2 nights in a row. So you could imagine no team is going to want to be that team.
That's true.
You know what I'm saying? You're going to get everybody's best shot. So now in the dog days of the league, now you got guys getting ready for you now. Like you the Denver Nuggets.
Adam Silver, who would have knew it? The midseason tournament and a 27-loss team is going to give you some great games in the doldrums of the NBA season.
All of a sudden, Joel Embiid gets healthy again. Maybe Draymond comes back in the Warriors game, you know?
Oh, my God.
Man.
It's like when the Warriors were on that winning streak, right? Well, I forget what season it was. I think it was their 79-game win season. They start off the season real hot. But you can remember the team that broke their record, which was the Boston Celtics. The team that loses, that breaks the record to the Detroit Pistons.
Yeah.
Look, man. What's
yeah.
How is that going to be worse though? The 27 losses though, or 28.
Bro, I remember when Knicks fans got on me because I was tight that we almost lost to this team, and they're like, "Whoa, CP, this is a professional basketball team." I said, "No. We don't. No, we're not supposed to lose to them. All right, we are not supposed to lose to them." So, Detroit basketball, Detroit Nation, hang in there. Better days ahead. But speaking of not so great days, man, let's talk about Kevin Durant. Let's get into it. Kevin Durant, Mr. Phoenix Sun himself, is back in the news, man. And you know, Suns are struggling. They're 14-15 on the campaign. Bradley Beal, we know the situation. No Bradley Beal. He hasn't been around. The Beal, Booker, Durant experiment lasted all but a couple minutes in one game before they lost Bradley Beal to an ankle injury. They've now lost 3 in a row, including Christmas Day, losing by 14 to Dallas, a loss to the Kings before that, and lost to the Blazers before that, man. So this is what Woj had to say on the KD topic. And we're going to hear the Woj comment, go to KD's response, and then let's respond to all of it. All right, let's start with the Woj soundbite on KD.
Durant, you talk to people in Phoenix and around that organization, you know, they can feel the frustration with Durant. Part of that certainly is the missed games for Brad Beal. This team was built around those 3 stars. The underwhelming supporting cast that comes from those massive trades for Durant and Bradley Beal that really gutted the organization and left them, you know, having to sign a lot of minimum players to fill out the payroll, and then understanding that they lack the assets, the draft picks, the trade capital to go out and really improve this team. This is something they're going to have to manage in Phoenix with Kevin Durant. You've seen it before, and it reminds you, it is a stark reminder of how short of a window and how this team has to win big, and they have to win big quickly based on how it was constructed, and having Kevin Durant still playing at an all-NBA level and a healthy Kevin Durant. And there's a lot at stake for this organization. It's got to change soon.
All right, so that was the Woj comment on KD. Again, do we have the KD Instagram reply to all of this? I forgot if I put it in the Slack. Let me know if we have it. Okay, we're gonna pull it up. Duce Rhodes in the chat says KD made his bed. He must live in it. # suck it up. Yeah, we definitely going to get to that. We're going to pull up Katie's response. As Woj said, he could be frustrated in Phoenix. So while we wait on that, man, Andrew, what's your takes on this whole situation, man?
The Instagram response is pretty funny, even though we haven't heard it yet. But I do think there is some truth to it because Woj is reporting on how somebody feels, not how the person actually reacted or said anything. But
he says it. We have it here, so we'll just read it for the people. Real quick. It says, Woj says somebody else feels that I'm frustrated and turns into me being mentally checked out because there was clips going around him not playing defense in the Dallas game. He says, this shit is crazy. These people can flat out lie on my name and make shit up, and you people will believe it. But when my teammates and coaches speak on how I am as a teammate, you ignore it. LOL. Good.
Yeah, so I mean, when I talked to people that worked with the Brooklyn Nets, they thought KD, Kyrie, and Harden were like really great people. But a lot of people did tell me that KD was moody. So, I mean, if he's moody, from what I'm hearing, it doesn't matter if he's winning or losing. He might come into practice with his hoodie on, not being like, he just might look upset sometimes. It doesn't necessarily mean he wants to leave or he's looking to be traded or anything like that. The team might be reacting to it in a way that, oh, it must be us because of all the adversity that they went through. That's just my 2 cents reading into the situation. But, you know, Bradley Beal hasn't been in there. This wasn't what it was supposed to be. And Bradley Beal does bring something to their team, a little bit of athletic pop that they don't have, like, you know, former all-star player, former league leader in scoring. So he would help them. I would say there, from what I always said, there was a redundancy in skill set with those 3 guys. I never like totally believed in it, but I would also say I never thought they were legit title contenders this year. I thought they would have to build chemistry over time. And with Bradley's Beal injury, it's just been tough. It's been unfortunate so far.
I don't even know what to make of all this, man, to be honest with you. But if I'm reading what we're saying, like, it wouldn't surprise me. Like, Andrew, what you're saying, like, it makes total sense being a moody person. Like, you're going to show emotions differently, wear your heart on your sleeve, and it doesn't really matter, right? But, hey, that is what it is at the end of the day. Be angry one day, you can be happy the next day, but it's still, you know, it's still somebody who is going to come in there and do their job on a day-to-day basis, regardless how they're feeling. But I also wouldn't be surprised if he is feeling a little bit of resistance, man, and he's upset with that because, look, this is a guy who left OKC to go to the Warriors, who also left the Warriors to go to the Nets now to go to the Suns. And it's like,
it's fair.
At a little bit of adversity, it seems like he's running away, right? Like you were up 3-1 against the Warriors, you lose, you go join the team that beats you. You then get some adversity from Draymond Green in the conversation there, even though there was already talk about him wanting to potentially leave the Warriors. He then goes join the Brooklyn Nets with your boy Kyrie. You bring in James Harden. You have DeAndre Jordan there prior to James Harden. Like you're trying to figure out there. You get a little bit of adversity. You only make it to the second round. And then last season, we know how it all ends. He requested a trade at the beginning of the season. Before the season even started, him and Kyrie both wanted out. Mid-season, they get dealt Kyrie going to Mavs, KD going to Phoenix. I wouldn't be surprised if he's feeling a little bit more adversity and he's like, this is not the way I projected it. You know, he's getting to the latter half of his career. He wants to go out on top. That being said, I don't buy this whole. I agree with who sent the Duce Road saying KD made his bet. He must live in it. Like if he is feeling frustrated, you chose this path. You requested the Suns. That was your top destination. And if that's the case, go figure it out, man. It's not going to be easy. It's an 82-game season. Every team goes through their ups and downs. It is what it is. On top of that, like I said, you've constantly chosen where you want to go. I saw Brandon Jennings say, KD deserves better than this. What?
What are you talking about?
What? What are we talking about, man?
That was such an engagement alley-oop. It was you could see the desperation in that tweet.
Oh
like, yo, man, stop it, bro.
You know what was worse than that from that podcast, by the way? Like I appreciate their hard work. I appreciate what they're doing over there.
Yeah.
But Rashad McCants, real hoopers know KD is better than LeBron. Real hoopers know. He added the real hoopers know to it. I was like, oh man.
I can't, look, I think KD gets a lot of heat, a lot of criticism about how he operates, the ring chasing, the team jumping, the subliminals on Twitter, the shadow accounts, all of that stuff. Like he gets a lot of heat for that. I understand it. But I can't knock him on this one. I mean, media is a very powerful thing. And if you listen to what Woj said, KD hit it right on the head. Like, he's telling you secondhand account secondhand account about him, but from some random person who's feels like it seems like KD checked out, right? And then you got random clips going around on the internet of people trying to like analyze one play. Like, all players don't take plays off sometimes. Like, that's very dangerous, man. I hate micro analyzing little clips about body language, about effort, about this, that, and the third, because it never tells the whole picture. It's a 48-minute game. I'm not going to knock him for it. And even if he is frustrated, it's understandable. You brought in Bradley Beal. He can't stay healthy. He's hurt. Team is 14-15. Kevin Durant's averaging 30 points a game. What is this, his highest scoring mark of his career? He's killing it. He's doing his job. The rest of the team is just not it. And look, the Beal situation was what it was. I felt like to try to get away from that CP3 $30 million, they did what they could, sacrificing fit to bring in talent that you probably couldn't get outside of that CP3 contract. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not sure what the alternative was to keep them on a competitive track, and now they're stuck trying to figure things out. I did think that based on the circumstances and where they are and the lack of flexibility and maneuverability, I thought that they did as best as they could to field a supporting cast with that team. Now we just got to wait and see how it all plays out. I mean, we're 29 games into the season, already writing their obituary, and I think that's a little bit dangerous. I think it's a little bit dangerous without Bradley Beal fully healthy.
Woj is a smart guy, man. He knows when to put these tweets out. Remember that tweet he had about Utah missing all their players right before they played the Pistons?
Yeah.
So everybody could watch that game like, oh, the Pistons could win this one.
Right.
And that's when everything really got crazy. And he knows if he tweets that, which he's not lying, like maybe they do feel that way. It doesn't mean it's necessarily true that he wants to leave or anything like that.
Right.
It's going to build up a lot of public angst and a lot of engagement. So I think Woj is very smart with the timing of these tweets.
Absolutely.
For sure. And like, that's where it's like, I don't doubt that he is frustrated. As CP pointed out, like, this is one of his best scoring seasons possible. Like, how can you not be frustrated when you're in the Western Conference? There's other teams ahead of you right now. You see OKC making a jump. You see Minnesota like doing better than last season. How are you watching everybody else and not frustrated when you supposedly have a big three that's supposed to be cooking guys on a night-to-night basis, and you're not even doing that? You're below a 500 team. You're out of the play-in right now. I wouldn't be surprised he's frustrated. Does it mean, like, as you guys said, does he want to leave? No, but I would be shocked if he's not frustrated, okay, being in this situation. I would be shocked if you're not frustrated that your Phoenix Suns are not even in play-in competition right now. So I don't doubt that. I think what I do like what Katie said is that the jumping to the X, which is like, oh, he's frustrated, he probably wants to leave. And I think that's the more frustrating part with KD's history, is that if you say that KD's frustrated, you can just easily see the memes of him, like for the Players Tribune, with another logo of whatever team saying, he's going to go to the Celtics or the Warriors or wherever else. And I think for him, if he is a moody person, maybe that does get under his skin, saying, look, I'm a talented basketball player. How come it always comes back to me having to leave when it's a difficult situation? But he kind of wrote his own story with this, with what he's done. So to that, I can understand if you're a player that's like sensitive, saying, I don't like being made fun of in this way. But I would be pretty shocked if he's not frustrated where the Phoenix Suns are right now as a whole. I mean, you're right next to the Utah Jazz, man. I'd be pissed.
What were your guys' expectations, let's say in full health, going into the season for the Suns? Were they legit title contenders this year? Like, how did you guys feel about them?
On paper, they were top heavy, very strong, but a lot had to break right for them. They went all in for this thing. I mean, look at this, and name a situation where you have a brand new coach and a brand new team. Brand new team.
Right.
Ayton is gone. CP3 is gone. Channing, Jay Crowder is gone. Like that whole core that they had that they went to the finals with, nobody's there except for Devin Booker. He's literally, unless I don't remember where Ebanks was on that team, if he was on that championship team or not. But nobody else is on that rather. Campaign is gone.
Yeah.
Sarge
Bridges is gone.
Bridges is gone. Mikal Bridges is gone. So it's a brand new team. So to expect that they were just going to, rise to the top, obviously I'm still putting Denver ahead of them. I would still even think coming into this, I still can't put anything past the Lakers, just by the way that they finished last year. So I still thought that they were teams that were clearly ahead of the Suns. But, there's no perfect way to build, man. There's no perfect way to build. And I think we also need to see when Bill comes back, how they look in a bigger sample size.
I was always skeptical about this team because of the injury history between especially KD and Beal. Like, yeah, Booker missed some time last year, but the injury history thing was really questionable. And before, we had Gerald Borgo come on the show before they even got Yusuf Nurkic and everybody else and really broke that thing down. Like, I like those moves, but still, even with those moves, I had them as a top 6 team in the West, but I never thought they were going to be like a Western Conference Finals or even a championship contending team, just because I just didn't see it's hard for me to believe that Bill's going to be healthy at the end.
How
of the
about in
season.
full health, Al? How about in full health? How you feel?
No,
about
not
that?
even. I don't think they're a championship contending team even in full health. I mean, I look at the defense just from the Minnesota Timberwolves. You're not getting past that with the Phoenix Suns. You can have all that shooting talent in the world. At some point, you got to get critical stops. And then Denver, they're just such a well-oiled machine and have the proper players at each position, right? They have their guy in Nikola Jokic. They got Jamal Murray, who's a great complementary player to Jokic. And then they have all the proper role players filling in after that and knowing their role. I just feel like when you have a big three of Beal, Booker, and KD, you're asking for someone to then play a role they're not accustomed to, which is Beal, in my opinion. You're asking to be, hey, you're going to be this catch and shoot guy in the corner, because you can't tell Booker not to be that. And you can't tell KD, one of the best players to ever play the game, to be something less than. So with that, Beal's got to take a step back. He's got to be the Chris Bosh in the situation. And for a guy who's been on ball out in Washington, I don't see a guy who's going to really transition that well into that system. And now that he's even missing more time than necessary, you're cutting that entire full season to half when he comes back, and then saying, hey, get ready through 40 games to be ready to go compete. And I just don't even see it being that good next season, because Beal's still going to miss time next season.
Totally agree with you. And a big reason why the Warriors were so great was because outside of the KD years, their top 3 players complemented each other so well. And on this team, their top 3 players have a lot of redundancy and skill set, even if they were healthy, and they would have to sacrifice. Basically, they're the same player, just KD happens to be 7 foot, and that's what makes him an all-time great.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. Somebody had to sacrifice it. And that was why I was okay with the Ayton deal, because I just didn't feel like he was going to have a chance to be who he wants to be with so much guys that have to dominate the ball. Like, somebody's got to do the dirty work, set the screens, get it out the mud for you, play physical, get on the boards. And that's why I think they went with, part of the reason why they went with Nurkic, far from a perfect player by any stretch, but a guy that can do a little bit less. It can do a little bit more without the ball in his hands than I felt like Ayton could with that team. But again, a brand new coach, brand new system, brand new philosophy. Everybody's new. We got to give him more time than just a 29 game sample size. But the position that the Suns have put themselves in, the way that they've handcuffed their future, as Woj said in that clip, it's a short window that you got to try to get right. You barely have any control of your future draft picks over the next 7 years, and so those are the risks. And we're seeing it time and time again when you try to not necessarily shortcut, because the Suns were trying to get there from, bubble when they almost made it, and Booker was on this rise and they made it to the chip. So they've kind of been on that climb, but now they're trying to solidify that. But, it's no easy path, man. It's no easy path. We just got finished talking about the Pistons, who have been trying to tank their way to the top. And it seems like they got a lot of the plays wrong so far. And they've had number 1 picks, number 2, number 3, 5, 9, all over the lottery. You look at OKC, it's working out well, right? It's working out well. There's no perfect rebuild, man.
They're in too deep for that route. Like, they got to be all in at this point. So
yeah.
But CP, this is a shortcut, because as you already noted, the entire team has changed. Like, they don't have DeAndre Ayton, they don't have Mikal Bridges, they don't have Javon Carter, they don't have Torrey Craig, they don't have Jay Crowder, they don't have Cam Johnson anymore. Okay, they don't got Campaign, they don't got Chris Paul. this is a completely new roster, as you said. So when you don't even want to, and when you don't even want to invest in the guys that helped you get to the finals, right? You want to talk about Chris Paul being unavailable and you got to figure out the point guard position. That's one position. That's one position you got to figure out. And after what he's done with, what you see with OKC or any other team and just how he helps the next generation of players get ready to take on that role, you should have been prepping for a guard right behind Chris Paul to say, okay, who's that point guard that's going to learn from Chris Paul? Because, we had a great run. He finally was like healthy enough to take us to an NBA Finals. But who's going to be the successor to him and help once he's gone? Who do we have in the next running? Book is a great option.
They seem to be pretty confident in Book handling that right now.
Book is a great option. He does a great job facilitating. But you had to think about somebody else that was going to replace Chris Paul as even the spot, even if you wanted Devin Booker to be that initiator. And the fact that the Suns didn't do this, and now you go in on on this route, we've seen how this ends before, man. Very few teams can end up like how LeBron James did in the Miami Heat, or even when he went back to the Cavs. Very few teams are capable of that. So they made their bed. This is the shortcut, because if you really wanted to keep it going, you would have kept this team. You would have figured out how to tweak around the edges, upgraded Chris Paul, somebody to replace him, but you didn't. You decided to go in with 3 all-stars, one who's going to be a Hall of Famer. Devin Booker's fantastic. And now you got a bunch of role players where I'm like, all right, like I like Nurkic, but it's like not necessarily a game changer. But all right, what else do you got around this team? Like, it's okay role players, but it's not enough, man.
Only reason I didn't necessarily see it as a shortcut was because, like, you had Booker drafted talent. You acquired Bridges in the draft day trade with the Sixers for Zaire Smith. You get Ayton in that mix. And then you get a CP3. So, after the bubble, they were on a climb. They were climbing.
But it's after that, isn't it? Like, you got to look like what they did. They don't have anybody. So now it's a shortcut because they want to win that chip.
Didn't they change management or governorship?
Well, Ishbia came in. The ownership did come in. But what I'm saying is that once you got to the championship with CP3, there's no going back. Like, you're trying to stay there, right? You tasted that championship, moments, and you lost to the Bucks. But now the challenge is, okay, what do we do to get ourselves over that hump? Because clearly we weren't better than that Bucks team. I mean, you have an opportunity to go get KD without, I don't think did anybody really know that Mikal Bridges was going to have the season that he was going to end up having last year. Like, if you have an opportunity to go get Kevin Durant, you got to do it.
For sure. No one's arguing. No one's arguing that, but it's the team was still competitive with Chris Paul and everybody else on that roster. And now you just completely, I understand that, but now you just completely change the entire thing. And this is where I'm saying it's a shortcut, because you went in on two stars, right? That have now completely changed the outlook of this team. Like, it's not Ayton. There's no, fine. I'm trading for KD 10 out of 10 times. The Bridges thing is not the issue, but you don't have Crowder. You don't have Cam Johnson. Like, you traded so much of what that Suns identity was that is not even there anymore. That's how I look at it, as like a shortcut, because he said, we're not going to go through the ups and lows. Like, Celtics, like, you can look at the Celtics. I know it's a different make team, but they're still on that same trajectory. Like, you still have Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, obviously. You still have Horford there. For the most part, they had like that original crew. Like, they've slowly molded over time to change. Like, even the addition to Derek White, he's still there. He's been there long enough where it's like, okay, he's still part of that team. I get you get rid of Marcus Smart, but you even add like Kristaps Porzingis to that mix, and it's like, okay, you're making moves, but you still have like that core, that identity of what this roster looks like. I look at the Suns team, and it's just, outside of Devin Booker, a lot of it's just a hodgepodge of guys who you have to try to supplement around KD and Bradley Beal. And it's not really this original thing. Like, maybe if they went to, like, say you don't do the KD trade, maybe if you keep Bridges and you say Monty was that experimental where he's like, oh, wow, we have something in Bridges here where it could have been Booker and Bridges. How do we figure this combination out? Maybe this is the direction we go, and we don't really need someone like Chris Paul, and we could do something different. But they didn't go in that direction. That's how I look at it as.
Andrew, one more. You had another comment on that?
I thought of a nice, maybe little trade, because you know how Draymond is more valuable to the Warriors than any other team.
Mm-hmm.
I think Bol is more valuable to the Spurs than any other team, coming off the bench for Wemby. So he can play that Wemby type role off the bench. The Suns bring in Keldon Johnson. Keldon Johnson can help this Suns team make a package happen. I know Woj said they're a little hamstrung with their options, but
Yeah,
that's just a crazy trade idea from yours truly, Combo.
yeah. I think the next 2 years, is going to determine, and they have to figure out how they're going to get their bench. Add in the the nice complementary pieces for their bench, like, who's going to be that defensive stopper. Okoji's nice, but I think they still need another wing defender. Do they have enough front court depth behind Nurkic? Are they able to rebound at a high level? I don't feel like they have as much size as they need. Well, let's see. 14 and 15 on the campaign.
Spurs wouldn't do that, right, CP?
Yeah.
You think the Spurs wouldn't take Bol for Kelly?
No.
Right?
No, I don't see it. I don't see it, man.
The original Chet, the original Wemby.
The original
according to Shaq, that's what he said.
Yeah. Let's talk about, and salute to everybody in the chat once again. Hit that thumbs up on Free Boys, CP, Alex, and Andrew in the building. The NBA report is back. Post-holiday edition. Remember that this show is presented by Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. Go to prizepicks.com, use our promo code NBAR for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Okay, let's get to Ja Morant and the New Orleans Pelicans, man. This was a wild game between Ja Morant and the Grizzlies taking on the New Orleans Pelicans in a rematch. These two teams had just faced off just last week in Ja's return to the NBA after the 25-game suspension. And, this one went back and forth. The Pelicans held on to a fourth quarter lead, but the Grizzlies would come roaring back. And then the end of this game was crazy because you had Ja Morant goes to the line, gets fouled. Attacks. Ja Morant attacks the rim. They call a foul. And this is with 1.4 seconds left. The Pelicans get the play reviewed, and they rescind it. So now you have a jump ball, center court, 1.4 seconds left. Grizzlies down by 1. They win the tap, call timeout with 0.4 seconds left. And on the ensuing inbound possession, they try to throw an alley over the top to Triple J, who gets fouled, makes the first one, misses the second one. The game goes into overtime, and the Grizzlies come away with this one, man. 116 to 115. Ja Morant scores 31 points. You had Desmond Bane killing it once again with 27, including a 3 in the final minute regulation that helped Memphis erase a 15-point second half deficit. And then Bane also made the clinching free throw to give the Grizzlies a 4-point lead with 4 seconds left in OT. Yeah, Triple J with 19. Grizzlies 4-0, man. And Andrew, what you think about this one?
Yeah, I remember a few years back when the Grizzlies used to win when Ja Morant was out, they used to question Ja's impact. I think we could say at this point, there's no questioning.
I hated that conversation.
Yeah, that was such a bad conversation. I guess we can see right now there's no questioning his impact. Obviously what everybody always talks about with Ja is the eye-popping athleticism. But what really sticks out to me is just the IQ, the game managing, the passing, the feel for the game. And on top of that, he has the generational athleticism and the grit that you talked about that the Pistons lack, CP. He's the entire package. He's a generational talent, and we see the impact he's having. So it's looking like he could take this team on his back with Desmond Bane playing really well, Jaren Jackson Jr. being solid, and take this team to the playoffs.
I hated that conversation, Andrew, just because, when
crazy.
When he got suspended, I said, for about a quarter of the season, you're going to miss Ja. That's going to be like major. They're like, well, Tyus Jones, can manage the ship. I'm like, come on.
Let's see what they do in the playoffs without Ja. Let's see that, right?
Yeah, please. And I know Tyus had some solid run. How's that working out for the Wizards, by the way? Right. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, look, man, this is why I think this team can come back and get into playing category and make some noise, because you look at what Ja does for this team. He just opens everything out, opens everything up because of his downhill nature. Like, there's no one on that team outside of Ja that can relentlessly get downhill and be as crafty of a finisher around the rim as him. And that's just a game changer, because if you can't stop somebody like that, it opens up stuff for Desmond Bane, Jared Jackson, who I say thank you last night for helping me win some money on a certain app to get, a nice little small wager, get some $70. So I'm happy about that. So thank you, Triple J, for helping me out. Thank you for going to overtime because you were not going to help me out otherwise. But look, Ja Morant, major, absolutely major. Like you could see he's like that level of like Anthony Edwards as is to the Minnesota Timberwolves. When he is missing, you see how rough this team is to watch. Now that he is back, this team is going to surge. I expect it to make the play-in, and I expect him to make some noise, man. I really do. This team is going to be a tough out.
Team's going to be tough, man. And obviously, we knew how talented he was, but you see how much he's missed when he comes back and just has his team in their spots, in order, and just allows everybody to play their role. And I remember when he was a rookie, and there was a lot of questions as to whether his finishing ability would be impacted by his size, going in and finishing over NBA bigs and NBA defenses and NBA physicality. How is he going to handle that? And man, you just seeing the way that he attacks the basket with ease, and then the way that he's setting his teammates up. The cross-court passes, a lot of risky passes that someone wouldn't make. I mean, he's throwing bullets over there. He's finding Bane. He's finding Zaire Williams and David Roddy and these guys. And, this is just a completely different team. It's a transformed team. And when you have Ja, you have Desmond Bane, who's been cooking, Triple J, and you add in Marcus Smart to that mix, right? Now you're seeing the impact of Marcus Smart on this team, being that Grizzlies vet, being that championship competitor, like a guy that, again, when we talk about what the Pistons need, a guy that's been there, he's played in those big moments. He can be an extension of the coach. A guy that guys can respect when he speaks.
Yep.
His impact now that he's healthy. I think, their bench is a little bit sus, but right now they've got that 4 that is going to compete every night. They have the shooting with Bane, the athleticism with Triple J and Ja, and the finishing talent of a Ja. They're in a good spot, man. 10-19 right now, but they're cooking. They're cooking 4 straight win, man.
I never got that, like, he won't be able to finish over NBA bigs. First of all, there's just a lot more spacing in the NBA, right? Like, and that's what it's conducive for guys who, Al said, go downhill and put pressure on the rim. I always thought this guy would be great since college, not to toot my own horn.
Oh yeah, man. Incredible.
He was electric.
Yeah, he was. He was different.
Yeah.
I remember when it was before I started got into content creating. I just watched the NCAA tournament, and it was like, I know the Knicks were, we got to take for Zion. I watched the NCAA tournament, and I saw Ja from Murray State just going off, and I was like, I don't know about that. I think I like this guy more. I was
the energy, right? The energy he had,
ferocious. Like, dude, it is. I don't even know how to describe it. It's more than an energizer bunny because it's just aggressive. Like you have to, he puts defenses like on their heels 24/7.
Right.
Like there is nothing you can't take a possession off because if you do, he's going to figure out and just get to the rim.
How do you guys feel about the AI comps?
AI is a 3-0 scorer.
Yeah.
Ja's not a full 3-0 scorer.
Ja's like a pure point guard with elite athleticism on top of it.
That's it.
Yeah.
I think for Ja, even though some may dislike, I think the comparison to Russell Westbrook is more favorable than AI, just because AI, that man was just creative. All 3 levels.
I like Ja's feel for the game better than Russ's, even though Russ was at a very elite. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Maybe even like a Derek, actually, who's on the team with him, Derrick Rose. That's another guy who you can actually compare him to because the athleticism, just aggressive downhill nature. I don't know. That's that. I think they can make the play-in tournament, make some noise. They're 10-19 now. Andrew, I already talked about this with you last week, but I still want your opinion. Like if this team was to make the play-in, what team is falling out right now? I said the Pelicans. You got the Pelicans, Rockets, Lakers, Warriors right now in that play-in category. Out of those 4 teams, who's fallen?
I would agree with you with the Pelicans. I just don't know how that team fits when Zion isn't being like the version of Zion we saw last season.
Right.
They can kind of like defy the fit of the team by just pure talent. And I don't see that so far this season.
I think Pelicans are a good pick and a good choice to choke. I think they're a reliable option. I think the Lakers could be there as well.
Wow.
Do you CP?
Injury. That's
Oh, okay,
that's all I'm
okay.
saying. Because if they lose one of LeBron or AD and they don't make a trade, like they're saying that the Zach LaVine stuff is doubtful. They have their eyes on DeJounte Murray, which I would love, but we'll see what happens there. If they don't make a move and one of these guys goes down, I'm not so sure the Lakers can recover there, especially without either LeBron or AD. Man, I think those guys are way too important. Yes, I like the way that Austin Reeves is playing, and they have some solid role players, but I think it could be them. I mean, right now they're how many games ahead of the Grizz or ahead in terms of the play-in? They are one game ahead.
There's
You
so many, as deep as the West is, so many of the teams have question marks, and it just leads me to believe that Denver's just going to take it again.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not so sure if Denver's going to take it. And then you saw OKC beat Minnesota last night. So
Yeah.
OKC's making OKC's still right there.
They've been getting busy.
They're getting busy.
You guys got them as outside contenders right now? Nah.
I don't know because I haven't seen them in a series yet. Right? Different things. It's different when
Talk to CP after tonight's game.
Oh,
Get into post game.
I don't know,
series
bro.
tough. I got to see him series battle tested.
Talk to CP after tonight's post game. If the Knicks win, you won't get the full array of how this OKC team is, but ask him if they lose.
SGA in the playoffs, man, that's gonna be tough, bro.
That's gonna be tough.
Because you want, as NBA teams, you want your shot diet to be a lot of free throws, a lot of layups, and a lot of threes, right? But when the game is on the line, you got to be able to get into that mid-range and make shots. And SGA is a killer in that area.
And Chet. The Chet factor.
Yeah. Chet's been great, man. I mean, he just filled every gap that team needed.
Absolutely. So I think I won't count Memphis out, man. I won't count Memphis out. I mean, they're only 4.5 out from Golden State. Golden State could slide if they get a key injury here or there. We'll see what happens when Draymond comes back. The young players are starting to contribute. They're looking a little bit better.
Yeah.
Funny enough, I don't see the Rockets sliding just because I think Udoka is just too much of just hit between him and Dylan Brooks.
And Alfred Sengun is getting busy.
Sengun too. Yeah.
Baby Jokic.
He's getting busy out there.
But I just feel like that personality of Udoka, especially when you have someone like Dylan Brooks and Fred VanVleet, two guys who are like gritty competitors. There's no way you just see how they play. They don't even need to score 20, but they just figure out a way to will their way to victory. I just don't see them out of all those four teams in the play-in. I actually don't see them dropping.
Let's see. Of those teams, I mean, if you go to strength of schedule for now, and you take strength of schedule with a grain of salt, it can always change. But right now, Golden State and Houston in that playing group, are set to have the easiest schedule left of that group. Golden State, 23rd out of 30. Houston, 25 out of 30 in terms of strength of schedule. Memphis, 7th. So that's interesting. Lakers, 15th. Again, that's just for now. Things can always change. It's very early. But for now, they've still got a schedule ahead. I mean, we take a look at Memphis's next couple at Denver tomorrow, Thursday, at the Clippers. Clippers are playing well. You got the Kings. You have the Spurs, Toronto, at Lakers, at Phoenix, at Dallas. That's January 5th, 7th, and 9th.
Who would you guys have coming out to what?
Lakers home Knicks. Yeah, got
who would be the two teams you would have? Like, I think Denver would probably be in all of ours, one of the two, right? Like, they'd be top 2 in probably all of our lists. But who would be that other team that you think has the best chance to win in the West?
Minnesota.
Okay. Yeah.
I think Minnesota. Yeah. I think defensively, I mean, that carries throughout all of playoffs. But the other thing too is that I look at Ant-Man. I just think when he needs to get rolling, he can get rolling. And from 1 through 5, even their bench, like, they got the height, they got the wingspan, they got the grit. I think they're another team. Like, they give Denver a run for their money.
In full health versus the Lakers, you think they win a 7-game series?
Timberwolves?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think so.
Ooh. I'm not ready to do that. Full health?
Full health, both teams.
No. I'm going to say no.
I know the LeBron James factor, but I think
I'm not. Full health. I'm going Bron and AD.
I think for me, it's more so everybody else. Something is Reeves going to show up? if you got D'Lo, is D'Lo going to show up? Is Rui going to show up? Because I like the way LeBron's playing this season. I love it, but it's just a lot, man. It's a lot. I mean, even against the Pacers in that in-season tournament, I was like, "Oh,
you know what? Flizzy Flex in the chat had another one. I think I put the Clips. I think I put the Clips in playoff contention at full health over the Wolves right now.
Yeah, I mean, full health Kawhi's different.
I'm going with the Clips.
He's different.
I'm going with the Clips, full health.
On your Reeves point, Al, I think that I have no numbers on this, but if LeBron is fully engaged, I feel like Reeves is fully activated too. I don't know. Always. Yeah. But the thing about the Lakers that I like is that, you know, with all the wings that they have now, LeBron doesn't have to do too much on the defensive end. You know what I'm saying? Quarterback from behind, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So, like, because you have Vanderbilt, you can throw at guys. You have Cam, you can throw at guys. You have Taurean Prince, you can throw at guys. So, like, that Kawhi Leonard, Paul George matchup, like, LeBron might not even have to go there in crunch time because you're going to have those other guys do the dirty work. So that can keep you fresh as well on the offensive end to do your thing.
It feels a little cavish, right? Like you have JR, Shump to, like, kind of do the dirty work for you.
Yeah. So I think at full health, I wouldn't necessarily count them out, but I say if they don't, if you get a setback for LeBron and AD, and he had a scary one Christmas Day against Jaylen Brown, you get a setback one of those guys. I think it definitely hurts the Lakers if they don't make a move.
What AD are you getting? That's the big thing for the Lakers, man. I don't know which. That's why it's like it's so difficult. I mean, he had a good series against the Nuggets last year in the Western Conference Finals. I'm just like, still, there are too many games for my liking for a guy who you could say it could be a top 10 guy easily when he's on. It's just too many games where I'm like, is he engaged today? Is he on his A game? Because if not, like I'm going with the Timberwolves over the Lakers. The Clips, I can't buy James Harden, man. I can't buy James Harden.
Didn't he just drop 28 last night?
Yo, that's what I'm saying, man.
Oh, come on.
Yo, I told you, don't James sleep on the like, Clips.
Yo, cue up the ISO Harden videos, man.
Oh my God. Don't sleep on the Clips, man. Do not sleep on the Clips. I'm telling you.
Wake me up when they're in the Western Conference Finals.
I think they'll be there, man. So to everybody in the chat once again, hit that thumbs up button for your boys, CP, Alex, Andrew in the building. The NBA report presented by Prize Picks, man. Let's get into Prize Picks segment before we wrap. Prize Picks, daily fantasy made easy. Once again, you go to prizepicks.com, or you could use our link in the description. Use our code NBAR. They will match your deposit. So you literally have free money to play with. You have house money to play with and get you introduced to the game of Prize Picks. And how do you play? Well, it's simple to play. 2 to 6 players. You're going to pick 2 to 6 players, and you're going to predict whether or not they're going to do more or less than the given stat projection that Prize Picks has outlined for the night's games. And you can pick players from football, basketball. You have a number of sports that you can choose from: soccer, tennis, MLB. They have MLB season more or less that you can choose from now. For example, for my Yankee fans, if you want to pick your home run totals, well, you got Juan Soto with 35.5. You got Aaron Judge at 43.5. More or less, you can do your entire season totals for MLB available now. But back to NBA. Here's where I'm going on tonight's NBA matchup. I'm going OKC Knicks heavy tonight. Number one, I started off with Isaiah Hartenstein. I'm going with more than 10 rebounds. You know, Chet is tough. We definitely give credit to them there. And OKC on a whole has been tougher on opposing Cs, but they are susceptible to those rebounds, man. And I think Ihart, if he can stay out of foul trouble and have a chance to be out there on the court, I think he's going to get a lot of chances to get some rebounds there for the Knicks. So I'm going Ihart with more than 10 rebounds. Also in this game, I'm going with Julius Randle, the workhorse for the Knicks, with more than 35.5 points and rebounds. I have a hard time seeing who OKC is going to throw in front of Randle to slow him down and slow down his scoring pace. Plus, I do believe that he'll be back active on the boards. He had 9 boards in the Knicks win against the Bucks, and I think he should be able to continue to have rebounding opportunities in this game. So I'm going with more than 35 points and rebounds for Julius Randle. Also in this game, Dante DiVincenzo, one of the weaknesses in this OKC defense is guarding opposing twos. I'm going with Dante DiVincenzo with more than 8.5 points. I think the Big Ragu gets off to a fast start. It's a couple threes in the first quarter, and there you have it. One more to get that one. I think that number's a little bit low for him. Now, last one I'm going with, Fred VanVleet. I think this number is pretty low for him. Phoenix Suns have not been able to guard the point guard position at all this season. I'm going with Fred VanVleet with more than 18.5 points. Houston at home hosting the Suns. So those are my picks for tonight's matchup. Al, how you looking?
Oh man, for tonight's matchup, let me get into this. All right. Why am I losing my screen? Where is it? I just had it.
All right.
This is all right. Here we go. Here it is.
Yep.
Okay. So I'm going tonight with Scotty Barnes. First and foremost, Scotty Barnes and more than 1.5 3-pointers made. He's been doing a good job. Doing a good job knocking down threes. I feel like this is just easy money for me. We'll see how it all plays out, but I chose Scotty Barnes. They're playing the Washington turnstile. Look, they ain't guarding anybody on the perimeter. Let's go get it, Scotty. I'm choosing Dennis Schroeder for less than 7 assists. This is against a team that doesn't need much out of Dennis Schroeder to set guys up, because this could be feast and famine for everybody on that Raptors team. So I'm choosing Schroeder for less than 7 assists. I'm then going to Andrew's team, the Milwaukee Bucks. They're playing the Brooklyn Nets today. I'm choosing Dame for more than 27.5 points because it's Brooklyn, man. They don't play defense. We just saw the Knicks go off against the Nets last week. I am expecting Damian Lillard to bounce back, especially if the Bucks lost to the Knicks. They're probably angry. They want to get back on the winning side of things. Damian Lillard going off tonight against the Brooklyn Nets. I'm sticking with Andrew's team still because I'm going with Giannis Antetokounmpo for more than 49.5 points, rebounds, and assists. It's the Brooklyn Nets, baby. They can't stop this guy. Come on now. And then last and certainly not least, I'm choosing Daniel Gafford for more than 8 rebounds. Who else? Someone's got a rebound in battle. Jakob Poeltl against the Toronto Raptors. So I'm choosing Gafford for more than 8 rebounds. That's my sheet for tonight.
Let's go, Andrew. How you looking?
Shout surprise picks. Nicholas Claxton. I'm going to go under on 9.0 rebounds. I think Bobby Portis, Brook Lopez, and Giannis will shore up the boards. I also think Giannis in transition will give Nicholas some problems and maybe put him even into some foul trouble. So I'll go less than 9.0 rebounds. As Al said, the Washington turnstiles. Hashtag nasty work. Jakob Poeltl will put him in the post. We'll put him in the post and score more than 11.5 points. Tyrese Maxey, I think he'll get buckets versus Orlando, but I don't think he'll go quite to 7.0 assists. I think he'll be focused on the scoring today, so I'll go less than on 7.0 assists. And Chet Holmgren, the guy makes the right pass really often. I think he'll get more than 2.5 assists versus your guys, New York Knicks.
There it is, man. So for you people at home, play to win, but play responsibly. Once again, go to prizepicks.com. Use our code NBAR for an instant deposit match up to $100, or you can hit the link in the video description, man. So great show, fellas. Absolutely great show. I thought we really attacked these topics and segments very well, man. Some interesting stuff going on around the NBA as usual. For you people at home, thanks again for tuning in. Do us a favor, share these videos on Twitter, share it on your Facebook feed, share it on your social media, man. Support the wave, hit the like button, hit the share button, and subscribe to the channel. Another fire edition of the NBA Report. Remember that these shows are available in audio podcast format. No reason to miss it. If you missed it live, salute to the replay gang, but you could also catch it in podcast format. We will see you guys on Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern time. We out of here, man. Great show.